have many or any of your peers, since you were 18, I mean, I'm talking highly educated, really smart women that I'm sure you hang out with, these are your peers. Have any of them expressed that their primary goal is to be taken care of by a man?
No.
I know you say they'd react non-judgmentally, but I mean, I live in LA, you live in the Northeast. Doesn't that seem like a really uncool longing? Like totally out of character with today's ethos among the well-educated?
I don't know. I think that's changing. I understand where you're coming from, but I just don't think that's changing. And I don't think there's any, if that's what someone wants, then
they would be judged negatively for it.
Concepts of, how one relates to his or her own sort of feminine and masculine sides, that's completely personal. And so, yeah, I think...
I'm sorry, could you keep going? I didn't quite get it. You said how one relates to one's masculine and feminine side is completely personal. And could you just keep going on that? What you mean?
I just think that's really kind of private. That's a private thing. And that's how one wants to be in the world. It's completely, both personal and private. And so I don't really, I certainly wouldn't want to be, I don't know. I just don't, I guess I don't see it in those terms of it being, if that's what someone wanted, if that's what a woman wanted, to be taken care of, I don't know that that's such a personal.
It's so personal it's not something you'd share with your friends? Is that what you're saying?
No, absolutely not. I'm just saying it's so personal that that there's just no room to kind of pass judgment of cool or uncool or going against the ethos or, I just don't really see it in those terms.
I wonder how women in the 1940s or 50s, I wonder how they would have related to that question. Because remember when going to college was, you're just going to get your Memoirist degree? Have you ever heard that statement?
No.
Oh, I'm really showing my age here. I'm 42, but for people older than me, like it used to be said when colleges became co-ed, 1950s and early 60s, that if a woman was going to college, she was just going to get her Memoirist degree.
Which means...
she's going to get married.
Got it. So how would a woman in that generation have related to the question, to what?
Well, it seems like in your mother's generation, it just seems from our discussion that was what they wanted most, was to be taken care of by a man. But now it's like...
I don't know. I don't know that I would even say that that's what was wanted, but maybe it was the norm. I think that's... Or getting married. Getting married was the norm. Getting married young was the norm.
So it's kind of interesting to think, like, your memoir is filled with highly embarrassing personal revelations, both on your part and on other people's part. But much of what is embarrassing seems to be socially constructed.
Yes, I mean, I think within. Oh, absolutely, and also embarrassment is also very subjective. I think, what embarrasses one. I mean, I think people relate to the book in really different ways because what embarrasses one person doesn't necessarily embarrass another.
Something came to mind as we were talking, so I'm going to take this in a completely different direction. It seems to me that the most embarrassing thing that someone in our peer group can do, meaning educated peer group, like been to college, people who read books, who read the New York Times, the most embarrassing thing that you can do is to ever publicly commit or say an act of racism. What do you think about that? And because the theme of accidentally revealing yourself as a racist does not appear in your book, yet it seems to me that's probably the biggest social faux pas that you can make in today's society. What do you think about that issue?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of shame around issues of racism. I mean, we also live, and that people. I teach a memoir writing class, and one of my is first generation American. His parents came here. And
Came from where?
Poland.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
And his parents he grew up in a really prejudiced household, and he had a really difficult childhood because he was in a very racially mixed neighborhood, and at home his parents were extremely overtly racist, and then at school he was in mixed classrooms, and he just had a really hard time figuring out what his own racial identity was, and his own ideas about racial consciousness, apart from his parents. And I was really glad that he wrote this book. He wrote an essay, and it was good for class discussion. But even in the class discussion, I noticed that there were some people who, I guess it's a very sensitive topic, and I could tell that he felt uncomfortable in some ways. But again,
yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'd like you to finish. You said, but again, and I'm just curious what you're going to finish there.
I lost it.
Okay. I think we live in a world, reading your book, where people would 10 times prefer to reveal a story of defecating on themselves than a story revealing themselves to be racist.
Yes. No, that's a great point. I think you're absolutely right. And I think, that was one of the other kinds of issues in that, I realized when I was getting these stories from strangers, and I was pretty amazed that people were opening up about these seemingly very personal. I realized that actually it's not that personal, and that what is truly, truly embarrassing to someone, I'm not going to get just by asking someone on the street. And so, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I thought that it made sense for me to also write what was most embarrassing to me.
And I think money would be another area where people would be too ashamed to that if you were able to force people to tell the truth, and I think money would be one of the top 3 areas where they feel a great deal of shame over something, whether